Many of us are familiar with the feeling of putting our all into something, but it just doesn't seem to be reaping the benefits we are after. When working towards a goal or specific result, the framework that many of us tend to use looks something like this. The 5 generic steps to successfully achieving the result you are after. Over the past few years, I've realized that if I ever find myself in this situation in which I'm working relentlessly towards my goals with minimal return, it usually tends to be because of a slight bolt or screw being out of place somewhere in this framework. What would happen if one of the steps on your staircase were either loose or missing? You'd either trip and fall or seriously struggle to get to where you need to be. And if you've clicked on this video, you're probably unknowingly stuck at one of these stepping stones. So in today's video, I'll be dissecting why you may be in this situation by sharing 4 reasons why you're working hard but seeing no results. Your issue may lie in the setting a goal phase, which is the first step in this framework of trying to get to the results you are after. What is the goal/result that you are working for? Do you genuinely know the result that you are after? Or are you just doing sporadic hard work and hoping to see something without actually knowing what it is that you are looking for? It is so important to have concrete goals in place so that we are not just taking shots in the dark. If you don't know the destination you're trying to arrive at, it is very difficult to set up your GPS with the correct address or with the correct direction. That's why we need to know exactly where it is we are headed. And one thing that can help you make more concrete goals is using the SMART method. If you haven't heard of it already, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Your goals should reflect most of these 5 things, if not all of them. Specific means that your goals should be clear so that you know exactly what to focus on. Measurable means that your goals should be accessible so that you are able to track your progress. This means that if you're underperforming, you're able to recognize this as a potential source of why you may not be seeing the results you are after. Achievable means that your goals should be attainable and within or just outside of your reach. It's so important to have goals that you can actually work towards, goals that are genuinely realistic. While it is very important to challenge yourself, not set a barometer on what you can achieve and be overly ambitious if that's what you want to do, it is equally as important to also have realistic goals so that we are not putting excessive pressure on ourselves to perhaps achieve something that is not reflective of the period of time or environment we are currently in. Relevant means that your goals should be appropriate so that it is actually worth the time spent. And I actually expand on this particular topic later on in the video. Sometimes doing the work, sitting down and grafting away is not the problem. A lot of the time the problem lies within doing the correct work and doing the work that will genuinely bear the fruits that we want to see. As I mentioned, T is for time bound, so if you want, you can put a deadline to your goal. This can of course act as a source of motivation for a given period of time in your life. If the time frame you're putting for yourself is 3 months, 1 year, 2 weeks, it's up to you. Just make sure that it is in line with the type of goal you have in mind. For example, if the result you're working for is to get 6 packs, right? It might not be realistic for you to kind of set that goal to be achieved within a week. You might need a few months, you might even need a year. So if you currently aren't seeing results from your hard work, one of the things you might want to do is to redefine your current goals. Bearing in mind that this is the first step in this generic framework of working towards your goals, it's so important for this foundation to be solid. So do it right. Another reason why you're working hard but seeing no results could be in relation to making a plan. Firstly, why do you even need a plan? Given that I'm a student, I'm going to use a student example. If you have ever tried to study without a clear and concise plan, you will understand that this can leave you not knowing what to study, how to study, and even when to study. As a result, it can mean that you fall behind on your work and bear the consequences of that. Not having a plan is like trying to compete in a race without knowing exactly where the finish line is. When the race starts, you may not have any sense of direction on exactly where you should be headed, and inevitably you will get lost and waste a lot of time trying to get back on track. But having a plan allows you to be organized, systematic, and intentional about where and how you spend your time in order to work towards a goal or get to where you need to be. So we need to ask ourselves, does your plan have the correct foundation? Your plan is the foundation that sets the blueprint for the work you will do in order to reach your goal. And that's why it's important to have strong, correct foundations on top of which you will build your plan. If my plan consists of unrealistic to-do lists, unplanned revision sessions, inadequate breaks, and perhaps ineffective study methods, then I am essentially setting myself up for failure and burnout. It does not matter how hard I work for this exam and how much sleep I lose. If I'm working ineffectively, if my foundations are weak, then it is practically impossible for me to see the result, to see the A star that I am after. So make sure that you are making a solid, concrete plan that is intentional, so that you are placing yourself in the best position to succeed at achieving the results you are after. Another key point to reflect on in regards to making a plan is, does your plan lack adaptability? This could be another reason why you are not seeing the results you are after. Maybe the problem is that you have made an amazing, clear, organized plan. However, you might be a closed-minded person who wants to stick to this concrete plan in order to get to where you need to be. Sometimes life calls for a bit of adaptability. We may need to change our strategy. We may need to change our original plan. If the initial plan you had in place is not working to getting you to where you need to be, you need to take a step back and recalibrate. You may need to change your strategy. You may need to change the way that you was initially doing things. Sometimes hard work is not enough and you do need to be strategic. Learn from others. Get someone to perhaps review the way in which you are working. Get some feedback, and all of these things can come together to inspire you on what your next steps should be. Sharing thoughts and ideas and collaborating can help you notice a gap in your plan or a method you was using within your plan that was actually setting you up to fail. Be open-minded in adapting your method to get that thing that you want. Do you need to adapt your gym workout to tailor it to the specific health goal that you are after? Do you need to adapt your study method for the specific subject you want an A star in? Do you need to adapt your content to target the niche audience you are after? Do you need to change your marketing strategy to sell that product? If you feel as though you are working hard but making minimal progression, have a look at your plan and see how much moving space it has. Planning is good, but we also need to be open to experimenting and trying new things. One of the biggest lessons I've learned this year is that you need to do something new in order to see something new. Sometimes doing the same thing again and again and again will only continue to bear the same results. So if you'd like to see different results, you might have to start doing things differently. One of the main generic scenarios where I believe many of us are unknowingly stumbling at is within the process of actually working towards that goal. Don't be quick to skip this chapter just because you work, study, or graft 10 hours a day. I promise this could be applicable to you too. And I'm going to approach this particular point within two sections. Section 1 is the reason why you are probably stumbling at this step is because you are probably doing fake work. What do I mean by fake work? Doing fake work is getting tasks done that give us a sense of being productive, when in reality, that particular thing is not helping us get any closer to our goals. For example, if I sit at my desk with a textbook open, unless I pick up a pen and actually start doing questions and trying to learn the information off of that textbook, I haven't actually been productive and learned anything. I'm just sitting at a desk with my textbook. I could be on my phone, I could be wasting time going through my emails, whatever it may be, until I actually start doing the effective side of things. I am not actually being productive and doing the real work. And a lot of the time our brain can trick us into thinking that passive forms of work or distractions is us being productive, when in reality it isn't. And whether we like it or not, no matter how disciplined we are as people, if you are doing more fake work than you are real work, that is a form of procrastination. Yes, you actually need to read the textbook in order to know how to answer the questions. Yes, I actually need to go through my emails because there might be important things I need to get back to. But at the end of the day, this should not be taking 5 hours. This should not be where a bulk of my hard work is coming from. This is not hard work. This is procrastination. And I think it's so important to be able to differentiate the two so that you are not tricking yourself into thinking that you are being more productive than you actually are, when in reality you are wasting time that could be spent elsewhere. One of the reasons that you may be doing fake work could be related to perhaps feeling slightly demotivated to actually get into the nitty-gritty of things that are difficult. You've spent 2 to 3 hours making a pretty to-do list with your pretty pens, and then when it comes to actually doing the real work, oh, something's come up, oh, my revision session's over. It is normal to struggle to start doing the real work. It is normal. It requires a lot of discipline, it requires a lot of motivation, it requires a lot of intentionality. I've been there, and it's so easy to get sucked into fake work due to lack of motivation. But it's so important that if you recognize that you are in this phase, you make an active effort to pull yourself out of this false sense of security and throw yourself into the deep end where the real work resides. So if from your definition you are working hard but not seeing any results, ask yourself, are you doing fake work or real work a majority of the time? Are you too busy piling up your timetable with tasks and activities that aren't actually that useful to help you get to where you want to be? Try to take the most direct route to your objective. And the second section of this is that you are probably doing the wrong work. You're working hard, but you are not working smart. And this is something that I have been guilty of so many times, especially in my education. And it's one of the most frustrating things ever. You can spend hours and hours and hours preparing and working hard for that thing you are after, but if you're not actually doing the correct work, it all goes to waste. If I spent 100 hours studying my biology notes for a maths exam, then the fact that I spent 100 hours doesn't take away from the fact that I should not be looking at my biology notes for that maths exam. I am not going to magically get an A star because I spent 100 hours at the library. At the end of the day, if I'm studying the wrong material, then my knowledge is no longer applicable to the specific scenario that I may be given in the exam. And this is the same with any real world setting. You need to ensure that you are doing the right work at the right time in order to complete the right tasks, in order to achieve the right results. This way you set yourself up to actually receive the results you are after that is reflective of the hard work you are putting in. And the final reason why you are working hard but not seeing the results you are after could be in relation to consistency. You're at the final step, you've set your goals, you've made your plan, you've worked hard, but now you actually need to keep up with that working hard in order to get closer and closer to the results you are after. You need to apply momentum behind the hard work. And I find that two things that can make consistency difficult is attitude and perspective. It's so important to try and change your perspective towards certain things that can be quite distressing for you when you're trying to keep the consistency up to work towards a specific goal. One of the things that a lot of us might need a perspective change is probably with comparison. I think comparison is one of the things, if not the most detrimental thing, against consistency, because you're trying to work super hard for this goal, but then you look around in your environment and there may be people around you who you think are perhaps not working as hard as you and are achieving those results or getting to that destination quicker than you are. And I think it's so important to keep in mind that despite the level of working hard, people have their own unique unfair advantages. People have their own unique time frame of when they're meant to achieve those things. And if you view your personal journey to this result you're trying to get to as a thing where, you know, this is the racetrack and it's me versus me, I'm running my own race, then it gets easier to be able to actually look at those people and learn from them, look at those people and use them as a source of inspiration to maximize your success, rather than have a scarcity mentality situation in which you think that there's only space for one person at the top, in which most of the time that's not the case. Instead of spending all your time getting upset about someone else's unfair advantages, look at your unfair advantages. Everyone has unfair advantages. We all have things about us that make us unique and give us a bit of an edge to be able to succeed in certain aspects of our lives. And perhaps with a shift in perspective, you can look away from focusing on other people's unfair advantages and reflect within yourself what unfair advantages you possess that can help you in this path of consistency and in this path of trying to achieve this particular goal. Comparison will only knock you off the path of consistency and make you miserable. So try not to hyper focus on whoever it is that seems to be getting to where you need to be. Behind closed doors, you don't know how hard every individual is working. All you can really do is focus on yourself, on your work rate, and on making that work rate sustainable to get to that goal in peace. In addition to this, another element that you can add to your perspective to help you in being consistent is just the understanding that there are different seasons to life, and so different seasons in your path to success and in your path to getting that goal you want. There are seasons that mean regardless of how hard you work, because of the season you are currently in, your results may not manifest as quickly as you want them to, or in the way that you want it to. And sometimes it's a waiting game of just kind of waiting for this period to pass before receiving the outcome you are after. And this kind of leads me on nicely to the point I wanted to share about attitude. Attitude can impact your productivity. Attitude can impact your consistency. You need to understand that goals take time before they're manifested. And one of the reasons why you may think you are working hard but not seen any results is perhaps because you haven't given yourself enough time. You haven't given life enough time to reward you those results. Maybe you started working hard just yesterday. Maybe you started working hard just last week. Maybe you started working hard just last month, but the thing you are after takes a year to achieve. You need to be patient and realistic with the timings you are giving things before kind of claiming that, you know, I have not yet seen a result. Have you given it enough time to see a result? There is a process / a journey before you get to that particular destination. And knowing this will give you the patience you need to remain consistent. And we need to use that patience to help us understand that sometimes not seeing results for a given period of time is normal. And plot twist, what if you are seeing results, but because the results don't look like what you envisioned, you are automatically writing it off as, I'm working hard but not seeing any results. Are you sure you're not seeing any results? Or is it just not the results you wanted? That's another thing that you can reflect on if you're currently feeling stuck about not seeing the outcome you wanted. Perhaps another outcome manifested and you're too busy being hung up on things looking a particular way that you haven't been able to turn your head and look at the other doors that have opened, the other results you have achieved by working hard. This is just something to be aware of. And another thing that can impact your consistency and could be impacting your consistency right now and so inhibiting you from working hard constantly to get the results you're after is in relation to health. Whether it be your emotional, physical or mental health, these things need to be up to par for you to be able to work hard consistently. You cannot work hard consistently if you're not eating properly, if you are barely sleeping, if you're not taking care of your mental health. It might inhibit the extent to which you're able to work effectively and so inhibit your ability to see the results you are after. Sometimes we can sacrifice our mental health and well-being for the sake of an arbitrary goal, which can hurt us a lot more than we are aware of and can actually inhibit our path to success more than we think. Are you putting too much pressure on yourself to achieve this particular goal? Is this leading to you feeling emotionally exhausted, mentally drained and burnt out? Because all of these things can affect your ability to work effectively. Check in on yourself and reflect on these things because at the end of the day, you need energy to work. You need sleep to be able to work hard. And a lot of the times what I have found in my life is that when I take a step back and I stop burdening myself with unnecessary pressure and being burnt out and just trying to work beyond my maximum capacity, it is when I take a step back and I just breathe that I start seeing the results I am after. It's when I extend grace to myself and I'm actually like, you know what, this goal isn't worth my mental health. I need to take a step back and perhaps increase the length of time it might take me to get to that goal for the sake of my mental health. And it is when I do this that I tend to see the results that I'm after. So if you're working hard and seeing no results, take a step back and think about the changes that you can make to your attitude, perspective and health to ensure consistency so that you can actually reach those goals. If you'd like to watch more thought-provoking videos, then check out this video I made on what they don't tell you about your 20s. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Comment down below any more videos you'd like to see from me and also be sure to subscribe. I'll be sure to see you guys for a new video next week. Bye!